And some of you will ask, man, a whole sermon on this? Why is this necessary? I've been to a lot of churches and I've not heard them talk about this. I would say, I love them, but that's their failure. I was talking with a very well-known pastor of a decent-sized church, and he asked this question some years ago of me. He asked, why do you guys talk about sexual assault so much in your church? Well, part of it is, it's my wife's story. Part of it is, as you'll see in a moment, it's epidemic. I said, well, isn't it an issue in your church? And at the time, I think he had 800 people. He said, well, I know of 2 or 3 women who've been sexually assaulted, but it's not a big issue at our church. I said, you've not done your homework. You don't know your people. You are ignoring a problem and assuming there isn't one. That means you have a culture in which the people can't be honest about what has been happening to them and get the help that they need. I said, so it's not that you don't have a problem, it's that you're ignorant of a crisis. And really, that's the issue, that sexual assault is an epidemic. It's 1 in 4 women. How many women do you know? 1 in 4. Statistically, the younger they are, the more likely it is. It's also true for 1 in 6 men, and men are highly unlikely to report it for reasons of shame and embarrassment. And so it's not just women. 10 to 14% of wives are assaulted by their husbands, which means some women are not only victims, they're married to their abuser, which is a situation I would liken to torment. Abuse is what happens when something is done to you, but you escape. Torment is where it keeps happening to you and you're trapped. For some women, marriage is torment. They live with their abuser. And it wasn't actually until the 70s that the laws even began to recognize marital sexual assault, that it was even a crime for a man to abuse his wife. Assault is also more common in cohabitation than in marriage. And some of you say, that's why I don't want to get married. I just want to live with my boyfriend. A boyfriend is far more likely to sexually assault a girlfriend than a husband is to assault a wife. And here's the staggering statistic. Only 5 to 40% of cases are ever actually reported. Grace's would be an example. It's never been reported, not criminally speaking. So you look at the underreporting. Well, statistically, what that means is a large percentage of women and men who call Mars Hill Church home have been sexually assaulted. What that means is, if it's not part of your story, it is part of the story of someone you know. I mean, how many women do you know? How many men do you know? How many do you know closely and intimately and personally? Well, statistically, you know a lot of victims, and you probably don't know that they're victims because sometimes they don't have the language to understand what has happened to them, or the shame has caused them not to really talk about that. And so at Mars Hill Church, we want to be a place where it's safe for people to be honest about what has happened so that they can get hope and help and healing through Jesus and his people.